Time to harvest shallots in Zone 7. It was a very bad harvest this year because it never rained except one time after I planted them. They had to grow with no water, and then after the sun finally reached pretty much the longest days, which is June 21st, but we're getting close to the longest days. We got one rain, just enough to make them start rotting. I had to dig them up early. So it's one of my worst shallot harvests. This isn't all of it, but this is as much as I could get today. I didn't harvest the red sun yet, and I didn't harvest the gray gazelles yet, because the red sun is my first year with them, and I'm hoping they'll get a little bit bigger anyway. It's worth the risk. And the gray gazelles are so small, it's not really worth harvesting them, so I'm going to leave them in the ground and see what happens. I might get them tomorrow, I don't know. It's time to harvest elephant garlic now. And you know when it's time to harvest the elephant garlic because it has a really pretty bloom on it. It's a dead giveaway. Some people call that a scape, and they cut the scapes off just in time, at the right time. But I don't want to cut the scapes off because I can't find the garlic anymore if I do, and I don't know exactly what time it is to harvest them. But I went on ahead and cut a few scapes, and they were delicious. It's supposed to make the garlic bigger, but I'm happy with the size it is already anyway. So these are the elephant garlics. I've got hundreds of them. I just plant them out in the pasture. Here's what happens when you cut the scape off. You don't have a flower, and you just have that. Pretty hard to find, but you see just tons of beautiful flowers. Huge pom-poms. See, here's how big they are. Pretty good sized. Got tons of them. So I'm going to get a long shovel, and I'm going to be digging all these up tomorrow. It's a lot of work. And then you put them in a shady area. You'll need the wheelbarrow, and you'll need to fill it up and keep coming back, filling them up with the wheelbarrow, and piling them up on a tarp or something. I just put them on top of my winter wood pile, and in a few months they're completely cured out under the barn. So that's a good thing to do with them. But I've got them planted all over the place, just all over. The horses and the livestock, nobody eats them. Wildlife don't eat them. But you can see pollinators, they like the flowers. Lots of kinds of pollinators. But all the wildlife, they don't eat garlic, but we like it. Doesn't mean it's not poisonous though, because they don't eat squash either. See, I grow squash here. Right out, nothing eats squash except squash bugs. And we do when we cook it. Anyhow, that's all I wanted to show you. All elephant garlic. This is just some of it. And it grows in partial shade and all that, because you plant it in the winter. You plant it around the late fall, just about the time it starts coming up wild. It will naturalize and grow wild, but you have to separate it when it makes these flowers by digging it up, because if you don't, it'll form a big bunch, and it'll just sort of grow so much together that it doesn't make a nice big bulb. But it's not the kind of garlic that you normally find. The normal garlic you find in the store is a very small garlic called rocambole, and it doesn't make these sterile blue flowers like this. Elephant garlic really doesn't make any seeds. I've never had it come up from seed anywhere on my farm. It just makes a scale beside the cloves sometimes, and when I dig it up, there's always a lot that I miss. And I find the clumps in the wintertime coming up that I missed, and I separate them out and I grow them. So I try to harvest everything.